Good morning, Bookfighters. It's Wednesday. This is so exciting, you guys. As you know, I'm not an original bookfighter, and to be 100% honest, I still feel slightly like an intruder. But to continue being 100% honest, being part of this channel is fantastic, and it's still a huge honor to be here. It's sort of crazy to think that it's been 5 years since, you know, we came into each other's lives. I have met most of you, except Dan and Julia. I hung out with Will for a few days in San Francisco, went to VidCon with Lauren. Katie and I were going to go to Disneyland, but I messed it up, so we just sort of hung out, not at Disneyland for a day. And then Vegas, again with Katie and Lauren, and we all went to see The Hobbit, and it was amazing. And, you know, these are the highlights of my life, you guys, and it's been fantastic to share them with you. Back then I was still living at home with my parents. I was going to uni, not really enjoying it. I guess I was just sort of floating through life, not really. I didn't really have a plan. I wasn't sure what I was doing, which was fun then. I had a great time. I travelled a lot. I was happy, so I think that's a good thing. These days I have moved out of home. I'm living with my boyfriend, who I've been with for a few years now. He's great. He has a beard. I'm doing university by correspondence. It's 100% online. It'll take me 5 or 6 years to finish, but I will have a degree in mathematics and programming at the end of it, so that's, you know, finally. I will graduate this one. Moving on to books. I have read a bit. I've read a lot. I've recently discovered the trashy wonderland that is self-published ebooks on Amazon. A while back I bought this book, Wool by Hugh Howey, read it, loved it, discovered it was part of a trilogy that was originally published as a serial on Amazon Kindle store. And I really liked this series. It's about a community of people living underground and have been living underground for generations in a silo bunker sort of thing, because the world above ground has been destroyed by some vague apocalyptic event that happened hundreds of years earlier. And I just found the concept really interesting. It's sort of sci-fi. It's definitely set in a future version of our world. I'd never read post-apocalyptic stuff before. It really set me down a fun road. And through, you know, finding out more about this book and this author, I found there are these sort of combo packs on Amazon. A bunch of authors collate their works. Usually it's, you know, the first couple of chapters of a longer book or the first part of a series, and they sort of bunch it all together and distribute it as one ebook. And they're usually collated by a genre, a trope, or a setting. I got into the post-apocalyptic stuff, but, you know, there's also horror, there's a lot of zombie ones out there, werewolves, a bunch of other stuff. And I think it's a really good way to expose a huge number of people to a bunch of different authors at the same time. And I discovered a lot of authors and books that I wouldn't have read otherwise, so that's fun. I especially got into the post-apocalyptic stuff because I find it really interesting to see how these, you know, fictional communities react and develop and respond to a completely unknown world. In a lot of these books, you know, everything before one day, when everything went to shit, becomes irrelevant, and, you know, they have to start history and culture from scratch. Well, not from scratch, but from the ruins of what is gone. And I found that really interesting, and I was reading post-apocalyptic stuff for a long time. Dan was talking the other day about why we read, and, you know, how through reading we open ourselves up to new ideas and places that we wouldn't have experienced otherwise. And he was talking, you know, about history, but sci-fi, speculative fiction, it works there as well. What else have I read? Robert Galbraith, The Cuckoo's Calling, and this one, The Silkworm. I enjoyed those books a lot. I think they're brilliant and funny, and maybe that's just me you know, sensing J.K. Rowling's voice and writing style and being nostalgic, but I enjoy them a lot and I think they're a lot of fun. I read a lot of Robin Hobb, who is a fantasy author. Neil Gaiman, American Gods. This book blew my mind. I don't know why. I hadn't read it before, but I think I'm glad that I read it after I'd travelled around America a little bit. I was actually in Hawaii when I read this book, and I think seeing even just a tiny bit of American life and culture gave this book a lot of context. I think this is my favourite book that I've read since Bookfighters, although there has been, you know, so much amazing stuff that I've read. I read the Long Earth series, The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss, which I'm pretty sure is the perfect fantasy book. And if this one has any competition, it is The Name of the Wind. I'm reading my ratty old copy of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, which is falling apart, the poor thing. I got very, very nostalgic on the 21st of July, which was the day that the last book came out, so I started reading them again. I've read The Lord of the Rings every year, but that's nothing exciting. I do that every year anyway. Yeah, I don't know what else I have to say. I'm really glad that we're doing this reunion thing, and it feels so great making a video again. I've got my pile of books tripod set up, which always did me well back in the day and is doing me well now. It's been fantastic, and you know, you guys are wonderful. I love you all. I don't know what else to say, but Katie, I'll see you tomorrow.